We're way behind, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Completely out of control. So I think that's a good start. What am I most excited about? Just seeing the chemistry between everybody for the first time is going to be fun. And getting to work with what is largely a whole new bunch for me and seeing how they bounce off each other.
I'm sorry, you want a drink or something? I got a white wine in the fridge. Was it right when I said I got a white wine in the fridge? I think it was, right?
I got a white one in the fridge. You go again. Mentally, I was pretty depressed. I was working on movies and kind of trying to get stuff off the ground, and Eliza made her Fox deal to do a show and bribed me with lunch to come out and talk. In the course of explaining to her what kind of show I thought she should do, I figured out exactly what show I thought she should do and what it was called.
Rolling now, rolling. And action.
Where did you hear about Dollhouse?
Cut. I said Dollhouse.
It's evolved for sure, but that was sort of the basis. A woman being pulled in all these different directions, being forced to be all these different people every day, but her self-awareness and realizing this is actually who I am.
And it also came out of stuff that I'd been thinking about beforehand, about the way we use avatars, the way we imprint our ideas on people, and the way we sort of form our own identities and manipulate our idea of how we interact with the world online. A week later, I pitched it to Fox, and they said, well, let's just order it. And the whole thing happened in under 2 weeks. And then the writers' strike happened 3 days later. So that was a little bit of a hiccup. There have been a couple of hiccups since then.
Dollhouse. Underwater, a woman's body cuts into the water from above. The camera moving along with her, she takes a lap. This is Echo. She is beautiful and completely focused. Her face betrays nothing but calm as she gracefully pulls herself along.
The casting process was remarkably easy, and it went easily because everybody agreed.
Joss is like a sixth sense, and he has great instincts, and so when it came to casting, I was really pleased. I mean, beyond pleased.
You know, obviously we already had Eliza.
You trust me?
Harry was probably the last person we cast with. And, we put up a lot of good actors up against Eliza, but she's got so much power. The thing about Harry is he's so steady. He's like a black hole. She's all energy, and he just sucks it up.
What I do know about Boyd Langton is that at one point he was a police officer. There is an affinity with Echo. He who was supposed to take care of her winds up needing her help.
Stop.
No.
You got shot with a freaking arrow.
Once we got, Olivia, which was a huge coup.
Joss has a reputation for and a huge interest in using good actors, and that makes my job a lot easier because I can bounce off other people's talent.
I've had casting processes that were just agony, and you do listen to a lot of people read your words and go, I can't write, this won't work, this show is bad, and then Fran Kranz comes in and you're like, oh, no, wait, I'm good. Okay, we're shooting the episode Echoes. Topher and Adele, who seem to be the only people who are completely isolated from it. We think they're safe back here, but because they have a sample of it, they become infected. And this is really just an opportunity for us to have a lot of fun with two actors who usually have to do one thing, getting to do something very else. Particularly Adele, who doesn't usually get to bounce on a trampoline. It's sort of out of character.
But anyone else who comes in contact with the drug is susceptible.
Say hi for me.
Tomo was the only guy that I really wanted to play Paul Ballard.
So in the next scene, I'm going to be disarmed, and she's going to proceed to break my arm, and then kick the crap out of me on the ground.
I've been a fan since the first episode of Battlestar, and I just felt like he is this rock-solid guy. And I can take that guy and pick him apart.
You're a little sweet on me.
Ridiculous, yes.
Reed Diamond was a tremendous find. He's really versatile and really fun and just great to be around, and that character became very necessary because the thriller aspects of the show sort of got hyped up.
My trouble ends here.
Miracle was another one of those situations where we went from going, we will never find this character, to, oh.
It was made very clear to me when I was hired for the show that I was hired for who I am. He was very straight with me and said that you're beautiful and sexy, and I think a lot of men like women looking the way that you look, and there aren't enough of you on television, and that's why you're here. So easy. I feel like I just got here.
Deachin was the most convincingly tough, upper class, like you could do the accents.
What up, Los Angeles? I went in to test, and then I got the call, and I think I just screamed very loudly into the phone. No. No. I'm a fan.
And we had Enver. The thing that got Enver the part was him as an active. The innocence, those big old eyes.
So guys, ready and kicking? And a little scream? Something like that.
This is what happens when you're sleeping and two very large men fall on you through glass. Wow.
Dr. Saunders was a character I created after I had already sold the show.
I'm compiling a report.
Amy Acker was not the first person that I was thinking of, but she just tucked the part under her arm and walked away.
Joss ultimately is master of the universe, but it's fun because you're there at the beginning. Everyone is involved in making the show.
Liz and Sarah were the first people that I wanted to run the show with me. Tim was rapping something else up to my ear. It was just like, the next thing you do should be this. Steve DeKnight and Jane Espenson, two of my biggest brains, and Steve's a shooter too, which is exciting. But then we got to the baby writers, and Andrew Chambliss came off of, I guess, Bionic Woman, and Tracy Palomo had been a writer's assistant on Angel, and Jed and Marissa, it's family. So we had two meetings. The first was a family meeting where we said, let's really look at this.
I mean, we were terrified and nervous when we submitted our samples, and
met with Liz and Sarah.
It was very official.
Terrifying.
It was very official.
What if I have to fire you?
It's day 97. Most of us are dead, or frozen solid, or possessed by aliens.
The only time I panicked was every morning during production.
We were supposed to shoot the imprint room with the fancy moving chair. The chair ain't moving so fancy, so we're moving on to a different scene.
The chair. God help me. The chair it was fairly silly looking and didn't work. The actors would be ready, but the chair needed 15 minutes to warm up.
Hello, Echo. How are you feeling?
So that it could go like this.
Down here you see we have the beginning of the actives. These are rudely referred to as dolls, but we call them actives.
A lot of the terminology, you struggle to come to engagements, actives, the imprinting technology, and the wedge. But then we found out that's a fairly dangerous term when somebody said, well, was he wiped clean or was there something stuck in his wedge?
Welcome to Total Incompetence Theater. Okay, so what we're dealing with today is that we had a mini crisis. The hospital scene between Danica and Echo kind of confounded the network a little bit. Why are we starting in a hospital? It's kind of a talky scene. We're talking about it, we're not seeing it. Suddenly occurred to me, I made a horrible mistake.
The original pilot opened with a montage of Echo being different people and coaching somebody who was at a crossroads in her life.
You don't know me. I am you, dumbass.
In one version, she was in a hospital.
He'll kill me. Not if you kill you first.
And I was like, no, they don't like that. We'll shoot another version where she's with this guy who's about to pimp her out.
You don't think I look good anymore? I think I look good.
Then it became a wealthy socialite girl who was partying too much.
I'm Hayden. I'm Max.
By the time, I put that one together, it was clear to me what the network wanted.
What if I'm not worth saving?
When I pitched it, the idea was that it could be very sort of relationship-oriented and go on these engagements that were very mellow and strange and sort of contemplative. Now, obviously, Fox, slightly different vision. Raise the stakes, raise the stakes, raise the stakes.
Here we go. Effects go hot. Rolling now.
Rather than try and recut the entire thing, I just decided to make another one. So, to make a prequel, take a step back.
Action. Give me my daughter.
What people don't understand about killing the first pilot is that since the time of the Aztecs, the first pilot has always been killed. The heart ripped out of it, and it gets thrown into a volcano.
Welcome, everybody, to our very first episode read-through ever. My memory's wiped.
That's the sort of
So is the stuff that we shot in the other pilot that doesn't exist, is that going to be used or usable? Is all...
Most of it is going bye-bye.
We had a shaky few weeks, and I won't tell you that personally and professionally, that's terrifying. Having a 3-week hiatus, when you don't really know what the word hiatus means in TV context, it was scary. We didn't know what was going to happen, and people don't tend to tell actors the bad news.
Joss seemed very much in the driver's seat on the whole thing. He got us all together, and he's like, this is definitely my decision. This is something I want to do. Joss knows what's going on.
I think that initially Joss had much more of a sense that it was going to be, this week it's an action engagement, this is a heartfelt thing, this is a comedy bit.
The first episode that I wrote really introduced the world, but not the structure of the show in terms of every week she's somebody different and they go on an engagement to perform a certain duty.
So he'll come at you, because then he's like, oh, you're the best, what happened to you? And he's going to be grilling you. He's going to be up in your grill. Grilling. He's going to be grill.
Grillage.
Yeah.
Grill-a-rama.
The approach on the second pilot was much more, this is just a typical engagement for Echo. So it's kind of holding back on a lot of the mythology. With the original pilot, that was Paul meeting Caroline. So there's kind of something cool to holding off on that, because then when Paul does meet Echo, there's much more anticipation for that.
I'm counting on it.
It's a blessing and a curse when you're given the green light to just go ahead with something. That means that what they're saying is you don't have to worry about the normal hoops that you would have to jump through for development. You're just going to go straight into production. But the truth is, those hoops are going to exist just further down the road.
There have been some hurdles. Either crashed through them or hopped over them or just gone around them.
Episode 6, Man on the Street, was the first time where we really took license to do an episode about the Dollhouse as opposed to just a straight-up engagement.
It feels like this really is the show where we've got a paradigm that really pleases us, really pleases the network, and takes everything about the Dollhouse kind of to another level.
It was the first one I felt I understood how I could make the show in the manner the network liked, and also the manner that I liked, and I wrote it faster than anything I've ever written.
You know, we just wander out, and there's a new script, and it's phenomenal, and I get to do amazing stuff. I go home and tear these scripts open.
You have a book.
I enjoy looking at it. Would you like to see?
We started turning out some stuff that was more sort of Dollhouse-centric.
Ignorance in this case truly is bliss.
I don't think they're as ignorant as they're supposed to be.
I know. We're working on it.
It confirmed the things that we all kind of suspected would be the stuff that we loved the most.
And the relationships between Dr. Saunders and Adele and Boyd and Dominic and Topher, like the behind the scenes at the Dollhouse.
This has been a different experience than I've ever had on a first-year show. Sometimes it was grueling because, we were trying to redefine the show while we were trying to shoot it, and we managed not to shoot a single episode in order. I think Tomo kind of got the worst of it.
So we're out like Loomis, I got a name for you in the bar when I see you off.
Oh no, that's still there, but we didn't see her then. Cool. But and we did see her in episode 2. Now she's out. It was like slowing things down. So now she's back in 5. Okay. So the one we're shooting next, which comes before this. So you will actually
got it.
To live with. Yeah, I know. We're like,
Got it. Considering we shot so many things out of order, and it took a while for me to actually lose the way I had it sorted out in my head in terms of when I met people and those relationships, and it was hard for me to get it straight.
He's got a gun! You have to go now. He'll live. You'll be blamed. But the engagement is complete. They'll never know I spoke to you.
The original pilot, he was shot, and then he wasn't shot, and then we did shoot him because we had some footage of him that we really like.
Some of the stuff that they salvaged from the original pilot, they were using in the 4th or 5th episode.
The one thing that we hadn't counted on at first was how much we were going to compromise Tomo's character. His relationship with Melly, just got uglier and weirder and cooler.
The Dollhouse is way bigger than I ever thought it was. I think it's underground.
Didn't we know that?
We had always intended for him to end up in this Devil's Bargain by the end of the season.
I don't know where it's going to end.
When you find the Dollhouse, we'll shut it down.
But we hadn't realized that the way we were going to do that was by breaking him down from the inside.
Too much? Too fast? Do I smell that bad?
I have a message for you from inside the Dollhouse.
But it's not funny.
My name is November.
Don't do this.
It's heart-wrenching, and it's so sincere, and it's so genuine, it's so sweet, and you're just rooting for them, and as soon as you find out she's a doll, it's just so devastating.
The inevitable conflict is between the standalone and the mythology. I don't like a show that's just up in its mythology so that you're just like, what's around this corner, what's around that corner, what's in this hatch, what's going on? Like, well, let's make it up as we go. But at the same time, I do know that ultimately the people we're going to be most invested in are the people we see every week.
That is so cool.
Once we started getting into the relationships, started getting into the mythology of the series, that's when it became, not only interesting for us, but I think for the fans.
I could if this guy wasn't a paranoid freak. There's like 1 trillion layers of passwords on here. This isn't company stuff. This is his own personal minefield. I need a new computer.
Let's go.
The first person I really conceived after Echo was Alpha.
I'm not kidding. No, I'm not fooling. He's not kidding. We're not bluffing. I'm bluffing, but the rest of us mean business.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to have somebody who was just out there who represented the total chaos that was possible with what they were doing.
It's gonna be great.
As soon as I knew that I wanted the character of Alpha, somebody who'd been imprinted with several personalities, I knew that I wanted Alan to play.
He told me about the show. It was this great show. It was like, cool. And he goes, there's this one role. And he described the role to me. And it was just so mind-blowing. I was like, who's playing that? It was really sucking me in. I was like, who's playing that?
And I knew I could pull a switch on the audience by introducing him just as funny sidekick guy, which he does beautifully, and then turning it around.
The great thing about Alpha is that he's many people in one, and ultimately insane because of it. No, I'm not fooling. He's not kidding. We're lying. We're not bluffing. I'm bluffing. But the rest of us, we mean business.
If he goes south on you, it's going to be fascinating to watch.
3, 2, 1, slash!
Alpha's more of an idea. Alpha is an idea of what happens when you start to manipulate the human personality and the human heart. How far to the new hall?
Where's Laura?
What's your...
She got torn. She got printed. Almost took a bite out of the virus before we noticed.
We had junked an episode, which is not uncommon with pilots, but it's not looked for. So here's the studio, and they need 13 episodes. And I was like, you know what I can do is I can shoot you an episode for half what it costs. I'll shoot it on vid with a run and gun crew, and it'll be a post-apocalyptic future.
I'm insane!
Where they discover the dollhouse, only it's kind of dusty and underlit, and we'll show hints of what's going to happen in the future. And if the show dies the death, then it's kind of a nice capper, and if the show doesn't, then it's a swell tease. I believe I had them at half the cost of a regular episode, and they didn't hear the rest of it.
This is Griff. Go Mag.
Northeast of Spring and 5th. Green Room is open, but the party is crashed. It's a really cool part because I'm in post-apocalyptic sort of society, and I'm dirty, so that's the fun part. That's all there is to it, really. It's about fake dirt. Not only does Joss Whedon create believable worlds that are not familiar to us, but are relatable, he's able to use comedy and drama in a way that I don't think anybody else does. I mean, when you see something by Joss Whedon, you know it's by Joss Whedon.
My hopes for the show, obviously I'd like to come back. I'd like to come back hard and figure out a lot more ways to engage. I think the standalones could be taken to another level. There are things that we hinted at that I don't know if we really examined. I feel like we found some beautiful stuff. I would love to just come back and just keep hitting and hitting and hitting, or at least swinging. I look forward to next season, but I also look back on this one with a sense of completion, and that's deliberate, because that's how I used to work, and then once I didn't work that way, and it made me go crazy, and I decided not to go crazy anymore. Fair enough?
Yeah.
All right.